Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? So we talked about Shakur Stevenson and the spectacular performance that he had over this past weekend. I also wanted to touch on Keyshawn Davis and what he did versus Anthony Yeager and what took place after the fight in the ring, in his in-ring post-fight interview. I didn't expect Anthony Yeager to really be of any type of resistance. I didn't think that he was going to present anything to Keyshawn Davis that would push him to the next level or make him work or make him do something that we haven't really seen him have to do on this level. It turned out to be exactly what I thought it would. Even in the press conference leading up to the fight, Anthony Yeager didn't seem very confident. In fact, Keyshawn Davis himself pointed that out when he was talking about, yeah, I'm going to stop you in 3 rounds. And Anthony Yeager was like, well, 3 rounds, really? 2 or 3 rounds, that's all you going to give me? Then Keyshawn was like, well, all right, fuck it, make it 5 or 6. And Anthony Yeager was like, yeah, okay, that sound much better. You know what I'm saying? And Keyshawn Davis pointed that out like, bro, this dude, he agreed. Like, he know he finna get beat up. He know he finna get stopped, and that's ultimately what happened. Keyshawn Davis put on a phenomenal performance, dominant. He really did everything that he wanted to do in there. He dropped him with a body shot, a beautiful right uppercut to the body. He was throwing, his jab was on point. He was just sharp in every aspect. I love when Keyshawn Davis get in that mode where he start to sit on his punches at mid-range and just he turn everything. You know what I'm saying? When he throw those lefts and rights, left hooks and right crosses. My favorite combinations from him is when he throw those, 2 to 4 punch combinations and they be straight left hooks and right crosses and he's sitting on them motherfuckers. That's how you know he feel like he got you exactly where he wants you. And he beat Anthony Yeager to a bloody pulp. Ref ended up having to stop the fight. I thought it was a good stoppage. Of course, I wanted to see him physically put Yeager down and make him unable to continue to fight. However, the ref did his job. He's in there to protect these guys when they can't protect themselves, and that's what he did. So great performance from Keyshawn Davis. However, it's consistent along the lines of not necessarily the guy that he fought didn't have no experience because he did. He was 26-2, been in there with Rolly Romero. I mean, what's that really saying? Been in a ring with Rolly Romero, who to this day I stand on what I said. I think Rolly Romero is a Make-A-Wish Foundation kid that's being afforded the opportunity to live out his dream as a boxer. And it just so happened he won some fights and motherfuckers was like, shit, Floyd was like, let's keep this shit going. This shit started off as, charity, but this motherfucker actually winning some fights. Let's see what we can do with him. Let's build him up and put him in there with Tank. And that's exactly what they did. So I don't think Yeager can hang his hat on being in the ring with Rolly Romero as some type of badge of honor or a declaration of pedigree that he's on an elite level. So with that being said, it's Keyshawn Davis's choice of opponent. It mirrored the consistency of his previous fights. And of course, that was only his 8th fight, so I'm not expecting him to fight no world beater. The thing is that the way he talking, now you want to see him in the ring with these type of guys. Now, after the fight, he mentioned Errol Spence's name, who fights at 147, made all these subliminal claims about winning a fight somebody that's affiliated with Errol Spence. I mean, you'd have to be in the know to know who he was actually talking about, which was kind of take away from the call out, in my opinion. We all know as hardcore boxing fans that he's talking about the other southpaw on the other side of the street who is signed under Errol Spence's Man Down Promotions, who happens to be trained by the same trainer that Errol Spence is, who happens to go by the name of Frank the Ghost Martin. A name that Keyshawn Davis did not mention. Now, remember what I told y'all. I made a video on this, a couple of weeks ago. I told y'all Keyshawn Davis, he be saying all this shit, but his nickname is the businessman for a reason, because when it come down to actually saying I want to smoke with this guy or I want this, he'll either say some shit like, well, I'm the businessman, I'm cool with my team moving me how they move me. He'll talk all this shit leading up to a fight, or when he don't have a fight, like in interviews and stuff, you feel me, on social media. But then when it get down to it, when the light gets shined on him, he say, I'm cool with moving how my team want me to move. Or if he do a call out, it'll be a subliminal call out. I remember when Earl Spence, after he stopped Yordenis Ugas, got that third belt like he said he was gonna do, and he said, I'm gonna clean up my side of the street and I'm gonna go over there and take his shit too. Well, he mentioned Terrence Crawford by name. He said, look, everybody know the fight that I want. You know what I'm saying? I want that fight. He said, I want Terrence Crawford next. He said, y'all know who I want next. You feel what I'm saying? He said, and tell Bud I'm going to take his shit too. You feel me? And that's exactly what he's planning on doing. He called that man name by name. Keyshawn Davis, he didn't do that. You feel me? But what Frank Martin did after that, he said, man, fuck all the bullshit. He went straight, he went on Twitter and added him with a pen and a drop of blood, said, I'm fiending. You know what I'm saying? Sign your name in blood. You feel me? I want that. You feel me? I'm fiending for that, bro. Like, ain't no bullshit. I'm coming to you direct. No subliminals. We ain't got to let shit marinate. So I think even in an attempt to call out Frank Martin and try to make him look like a hoe, he made himself kind of look like that. And Frank Martin, you know what I'm saying, on some real G shit, like, bro, fuck all that bullshit. I'm coming to you direct. So I respect that. As far as the fight itself, bro, I talked about this fight before. Again, me talking about Keyshawn Davis' level of competition, I think if he does actually, if his team allows him to get in the ring with Frank Martin next, which I highly doubt, because if you look at the system that Top Rank runs for their young fighters, they have a system and it works. They build guys up. Top Rank is a place where you go to start your career. It's not necessarily the place where you go to thrive as a superstar. It's not many fighters that have done that. Manny Pacquiao is one rare one in modern day. Now, back in the day, of course, he had Muhammad Ali. You know, he had guys, but I'm talking about in the modern boxing, Top Rank hasn't really been a place where you go to be a superstar. It's a place where you start your career, and then once you get to a certain level, you branch off and start doing your own thing, seeing what other networks have to offer, or, you know, being your own boss and fighting on a fight by fight basis, you know, maximizing your earning potential, right? But Top Rank is a place where you start because they have a great foundation. They have a legendary promoter. They have resources and funds in place to be able to pay these guys what they need to pay them and get them to fights. They have rosters. They have, you know, rapport and relationships with these sanctioning bodies, so they can easily finagle and finesse, get their guys in certain rankings and be able to put them in position to get fights. So for Keyshawn Davis to be at that early point in his career, they're gonna move him at a certain pace. They're gonna move him at a certain pace and make sure that he's fighting all guys that he can beat. You know what I'm saying? They gonna put him in there and get him the experience that he need, get him the exposure. I like how they moving him and grouping him with Shakur, with Big Baby Anderson, with the other African American black talent, which is the cream of the crop of the sport. Grouping him with those guys so he can be showcased and, you know, be on that, get that shine on ESPN as a young American talent. You know what I'm saying? So I love how they moving him. It's a great position for a young up-and-coming fighter. So with that being said, with them investing in him the way they are and the way they do young fighters, I don't think that they're going to put him in a ring with a Frank Martin next. I would love for that to be the case. And I believe that's why Earl Spence said what he said when he was like, they still feeding that pup through a straw, you know what I'm saying, type shit. They still, he's still a baby, and Earl know that. He know that they still giving him these baby ass, you know, opponents and shit, like motherfuckers that we know he gonna beat. No 50-50 challenges, no like fights where it's like, oh, well, maybe he got to get around this. Maybe, I don't know if I don't know how he would fare against this opponent. He ain't really been in a ring with nobody like that. Like Frank Martin when he fought Jackson Marinez. You know what I'm saying? Or like Frank Martin when he fought Michelle Rivera. Credible opponents, guys that, are coming to win. You dig what I'm saying? Every time I've seen Frank Martin, he's stepping up his level of competition. He gets straight to business. He focused. He crafty. Very intelligent. Very skilled fighter. All about business. And he go in that ring and he handles shit. You know what I'm saying? He ain't in there bullshit. He ain't in there playing. He getting straight down to the business. And he's steadily trying to improve and fight the best competition. So that's why I think Earl, he was like, well, shit, I would love to see Frank versus Shakur, because he knows Shakur at that level to where, they would consider putting him in the ring with Frank Martin because they believe in Shakur. You know what I'm saying? Shakur Stevenson is that type of talent, and he at that age and at that level, he already in his third division. Motherfuckers like, okay, at this point, ain't no training wheels on Shakur. Like, they believe Shakur can beat any of these guys. You know what I'm saying? So, from a promoter perspective, I think that's why Earl was talking about putting Frank Martin in with Shakur and not even really paying too much attention to Keyshawn Davis. But now, Keyshawn is talking how he talking. He still ain't really saying Frank Martin's name like that, but he talking how he talking. So now let's make the fight. I want to see this shit happen. You feel what I'm saying? I want to see where Keyshawn Davis really is, because I do believe that he's a dog. I do believe he got real heart and he got the skill. I want to see if he's at that level now, if he could actually get in there and compete and beat a Frank Martin. I know Frank Martin ready. I know what type of time he on with the coach, the circle that he surround himself with, the work ethic that he got. Just the maturation and the improvements that I've been seeing from Frank Martin over the course of his career, fight after fight after fight. I know where Frank Martin is right now. And I would love to, everything that I needed to see from Frank Martin as far as beating or fighting guys like Keyshawn Davis or anybody on that level, I saw that with Michelle Rivera. I know he ready for the top competition. Will he beat each and every one of these guys? That's why you have the fights. But I know Frank Martin is ready. The question is Keyshawn Davis ready? The man say he ready. Put him in the ring. Put him in the ring. So what I expect is from Keyshawn Davis to make an actual effort, a damned effort on Top Rank side, asking to make that fight. Whatever they got to do. I think the ideal situation would be if Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence do fight in June, that the Keyshawn Davis and Frank Martin fight is on that undercard. That would be ideal. Now, even though them boys just fought, well, at least Keyshawn just fought is April, he didn't really go through, too much punishment or anything like that. So I think he can make that June date. You feel what I'm saying? Or whenever they do make that fight. I would love to see them on that undercard. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. How do y'all feel about that matchup? I done broke this matchup down a few times. I think it's a great matchup. I really like both guys' skill sets. I think with Frank Martin having, more experience on a higher level of skill in the sport thus far as a pro. And, it's just funny how Bo Mack trained Keyshawn, Derrick James trained Frank, and, Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. So I want to see that shit happen. I want to see, whose pupil will come out on top. You know what I'm saying? And, look at the training of Derrick James and the training of Keyshawn and the training of Bo Mack, because I think there are some similarities from Keyshawn and Terrence and some similarities from Earl Spence and Frank Martin, even though they all fight totally different. You can see the similarities as far as the training. So y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender Regime Boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.